My name is Jim Knowlson, and I was am emeritus professor of French in the University of Reading. I was a big fan of Samuel Beckett, and decided when I moved here to do an exhibition when he had got the Nobel Prize for Literature. That was 1969. So I wrote to him, I talked to the librarian here, and we decided that although we only had 6 books by Beckett, that we would do an exhibition on his work. I said, trust me, and he did. And I went over to Paris, and I knew a friend of Beckett called Leventhal, A.J. Leventhal. And he said, Sam wants to meet you. Will you phone him tomorrow? And he said, whatever you do when you meet him, don't treat him like a great man. He hates it. So I met him the next day, phoning him that same day. I met him the next day. And somehow, from the beginning, it became a very easy relationship very quickly. And we did the exhibition, and the exhibition toured Europe. It was done in May 1971. So, to cut a long story rather short, we met, and over the years, Beckett started to give me items for the Beckett collection, which we set up here in Reading. So that was the origin of the Beckett archive, which then was converted. I wanted to make it secure so nobody could sell any of the contents. So in 1988, with Beckett's support, I made it into a Beckett International Foundation, a charitable trust. And I used to go twice, sometimes 3 times a year to meet Beckett. And eventually we started to have dinner together over a period of those 19 years. And it was fascinating. I started to work on Beckett a lot and published rather a lot of books, far too many books on Samuel Beckett. But nonetheless, when the idea came up for the biography in 1989, I wrote to Beckett saying I was asked 17 years ago, you said no, and I would accept that answer. And he wrote back saying, the biography of me by you, it's yes, with a capital Y. I will help you in any way I can. You are my sole authorized biographer. So that's how these tapes came about during the summer when his health was declining. I would go every other week to Paris. So there became 7 hours of recordings of Beckett, and it was fascinating for me because I got a lot of material for my biography, which became Down to Fame, The Life of Samuel Beckett. It was published by Bloomsbury. It was their first big biography they published. It was very open because we'd known each other for 19 years. So we laughed a lot, we sang together, we talked about sport, we talked about his parents, his aunts, his uncles, we talked about his work for British intelligence, SOE, during the war. I only got him as far as the war years and just after the war, when he hid out from the Gestapo for 3 years during the war in the south of France. And I would have loved to have continued, but unfortunately he went into a coma. He died. I was very distraught by it. I think I took, as his authorized biographer, I took about 50 phone calls even from Russia, all over Europe and the world, after his death. It was a momentous moment. That was Christmas 1989. But the tapes remain. They are now a gift to the Beckett International Foundation, of which the University of Reading is the trustee. And they, I hope now, will benefit the Beckett Foundation and the University of Reading, where scholars will continue to come, as they do from all parts of the world, to Reading, because we are now the biggest collection in the world of Beckett manuscripts and ephemera and all sorts of things. But there's also the Creative Arts Fellowships, where people will be inspired in their new work. And I hope that that will be a legacy of the Beckett Foundation, that this continues to inspire